Registrars are required to provide free, public access to certain GTLD registration data, often called Whois data, through their websites, and in the case of thin registries, as plain text in response to lookup queries via port 43. Published Whois data must be up to date. In other words, Whois data for all GTLD names under the registrar's management must be updated at least daily. There are also specific service level agreements in the Whois specification that will be discussed later in this training. Let's take a closer look at these registrar obligations. The RAA identifies the data elements that must be provided in response to a Whois query. The Registration Data Directory Service, Whois specification, referred to as the RDDS specification from now on, provides a uniform format in which a registrar's output should appear. The format of responses shall contain all the elements you see on your screen. Some of the new fields required by the 2013 RAA include Registry Domain ID, Registrar Abuse Contact Email, Registrar Abuse Contact Phone, Domain Status, Registry Registrant ID, Registrant Phone, Registrant Phone Extension, Registrant Fax, Registrant Fax Extension, Registrant Email, Registry Admin ID, Registry Tech ID, DNS SEC, and last update of Whois database. A few of the provided fields may be left blank if they are unavailable from the registry. These include Registry Registrant ID, Registry Admin ID, and Registry Tech ID. Other fields that may be left blank if they're unavailable include all state/province fields, all postal codes, all phone extension, fax, and fax extension fields. The domain status field should only use EPP status codes. A list of EPP status codes can be found by going to the web address shown here. The reseller field may be deleted, provided that if it is used, it must be displayed in the designated location. As we discussed earlier, registrars must update their published Whois data at least once a day. In the past, this requirement has caused some confusion because the RAA has a different requirement for updates of registry information. In particular, the RAA requires registrars to process registry updates, such as changes to name servers or their IP addresses, within 7 days. This does not affect the requirement to update Whois data at least daily. In addition to updating Whois at least once a day, the RAA provides registrars with some service level requirements, which are measured in service level agreements, also known as SLAs. Specifically, the registrar's Whois availability must have a maximum monthly downtime of 864 minutes. If 51% or more of the Whois testing probes see any of the Whois services as unavailable during a given time, the Whois will be considered unavailable. There's also an SLA for query time. The maximum round-trip query time is 4,000 milliseconds for at least 95% of queries. Whois updates must be published at least daily and within 1 hour of EPP update to registry. In providing public access to Whois data, a registrar may not charge a fee or impose terms and conditions on use of the data unless the terms or conditions are permitted by a policy established by ICANN. Registrars must permit any lawful use of Whois data with 2 exceptions. First, registrars may restrict or prohibit use of Whois data that allows, enables, or otherwise supports the transmission of mass, unsolicited, commercial advertising, or solicitations to entities other than the Whois users' existing customers by email, telephone, or fax. Second, registrars may restrict or prohibit use of Whois data that enables high-volume, automated electronic processes that send queries or data to the systems of any registry operator or registrar, except as reasonably necessary to register domain names or modify existing registrations. As we discussed earlier, Whois requirements are included in the RDDS specification. This specification will be in effect until ICANN requires a different protocol. Following the publication by the IETF of a proposed standard, draft standard, or Internet standard, and any revisions relating to the web-based directory service as specified in the IETF Web Extensible Internet Registration Data Service Working Group, registrars must implement the directory service specified in any such standard or any revision thereto no later than 135 days after such implementation is requested by ICANN.